Morning from Yummy BTV. Wishing you all well. Sending loads of love your way as usual now. I know, sorry, I was a bit gassed on the live last night. I do get a bit passionate sometimes. Depends what Yummy turns up these days, doesn't it? You know what I mean? It always seems like Sunday as well. Good point, you do said that. Yeah, but you always seems to be hype on a Sunday, and that's without having a drink. Certain times I've gone up there before, a bit worse for wear, but we're stopping all. We stopped all that now with that kind of behaviour. But I do get passionate because I know that I was there on certain days, and some of the people that talk out here, I know that they could never say nothing to those individuals' faces. And I know the game different from the way that other people who listen to that kind of stuff and take it all in. Sometimes I feel like I got to stick my oar in. You know what I mean? Otherwise, I wouldn't be the man that I profess to be to some of those men that I met along the years. You know what I mean? So, and the other thing with court cases, I suppose people always going to have their theories, and those sagas are going to go on a long time. So I don't think I'm anyone to really say categorically it's this and that and that. You know what I mean? Because after all, I wasn't there either. But with the knowledge that I've got from certain individuals' own mouths, that's the reason why I can come through a little bit more with that kind of talk. Now, I'm going to the new office in a minute, studio. So I was going to tell you that yesterday. Did I mention it yesterday? So I'm going to do a video there to make sure what it looks like. Right, so the goes down, we're moving on to the second stage of the journey. Like we always promised, you waited patiently for me. Now, I come to the fore, we're interviewing somebody you always wanted me and him to team up. So there's a reunion coming tomorrow, right? So get ready for that. Now, this morning, the question that the couple of you asked me is, Uncle Yummy, how come, or is there men that have committed horrendous crimes that are really frowned upon by the real criminal hierarchy fraternity, but they walk around on normal location with their heads held high? I'm not going on protection. You can't do me nothing. Huh? Yeah. And tell me one other thing then. If a rapist has to go on protection, and people that do vulnerable thing, trouble the vulnerable, because that's what that thing is about, going on protection in reality, right? How come when you kill a woman then, or you're a serial killer who's done terrible things to women, chopping them up to pieces and all that, how come you don't? What's the difference between rape and that? Instead of vulnerable target, you're still taking on things like Belfield and all that. Easy targets, really, the way you ain't going to get much of a fight back, if you get what I mean. How? Two men I talk about. Michael Smitherman, the first one. Now, Michael Smitherman, right, goes by the name of Michel, right? I wouldn't be too surprised if he's nearly out now, right? He got a sentence way back in the day for a couple of murders, one of them being an ex-girlfriend. In some kind of way, right? But she's a young girl in reality. Now, he confessed to other murders as well as saying that he was around for the New Crossfire, right? But the police didn't really take it on board, right? Later on now, he says, I was just saying it, my mental health and all that kind of stuff, right? But interesting, a lot of those cases have never been solved, but that's not my business. When I first set eyes on Smitherman, he's the first man I ever see in the Cays who wore a leather miniskirt. Right, so he's that way, right? Dresses up like a woman every day in the Cays, right? Now, these things were kind of frowned upon in the early days. They'd have to go on protection, anyone that even gays and things like that. It was a real tough set of rules laid down by the so-called Cat A hierarchy. But why didn't they trouble Smitherman then? Smitherman used to walk around the yard with his miniskirt on with Cheeseman. A geezer called Cheeseman, I forgot his other name as well, another serious kind of psychopathic geezer. Smitherman had that blank look, right? 100%. And he had that look that, I don't care, I wear ladies' clothes. I killed ladies, I done whatever I did. If you lot want to come and test me, I got my things and I will have it with you. Seriously, no one dared. He didn't go, you couldn't put him on protection for the love of money. Smitherman, he turned up everywhere. Do you know when the full Sutton riots, right, in the 90s, that was going to talk about the other day, well pointed out, was it Dave Hutchinson, my boy? When you pointed that out, do you know that the man that they're talking about on the TV program when a man was soliciting himself to other inmates, it was Smitherman on that. But Smitherman, boy, yeah, I'm game. Serious, but yeah, not my crimes. What? So I mean, one big example of a man who said, "Boy, you test me, I'm going to hurt you too, whether I look just like a lady or not, all my crimes, etc." Compare that to John Sweeney, right? We knew what I thought about him. I've really never gone into it in depth because my head's never been as good as this, right? This geezer's soul is so dark. His eyes, right, are blank. But I don't believe he's like Smitherman. John Sweeney chopped up all the women and put them in a suitcase and put them in canals in all different countries and was drawing them all and putting them on his wall. He's still doing it in prison. And they let him get away with it. And he comes out on the landing every day. But really and truly, that's no different from rape. He should be on protection. Why ain't nobody troubled him? I often thought about it, you know. One time, I did feel a little, when I looked at him one time, I didn't give him his bird. Remember the first time around in Belmarsh, when he was a couple of doors away from me, there was Gary Staggs, Perry Jerome. We was all on the same spur at that time, right? Mark Nunes, etc., rest in peace. Mark was a door away from me as well, right? And I remember him looking, well, you ain't got my... I felt a little bit of fear, but like Tony always said, you can never fear a man who's killing women, Yami. But I did feel a bit uneasy, but when I saw him in Whitemore, I switched on him. You know what I mean? Different days, different things. You know, the game, I could be thinking one day like that and then another day. And I could see he's not like Smitherman. He's a coward, really coward, who struggles with poor emotional control with women, I believe, with rejection the most. Because you don't know, when you're chopping up the bodies and they're putting them in the thing, you don't know, is he raping them as well then? What? You know what I mean? It's the law. And you can walk around like, yeah, I did that and I did that. What I'm saying to you is, what's the difference between a rapist and someone that does that? You know what I mean? You can get a free rein of running about, walking about those prisons with your head held high. But that's the early morning topic. Loads of love to you. I'll do a video when I'm at the office in a minute.